What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Won't You Be My Neighbor. I'm Brandon from Vegas, Vegas' favorite realtor. This is Bill Gaylord, Vegas' favorite lender. Say what's up, Bill. Let them know what's going on.
Oh, man, I'm so excited to talk today. We're going to talk about the Knights, right?
Yeah. Today's not even a real estate day. We're just going to talk about the Golden Knights today. You guys are going to have to deal with it, man.
We're going to gloat.
How was it? Where'd you watch the game? How'd you feel about that?
Oh, my God. It was unbelievable because I was at my house, and I like to watch things by myself.
Okay.
To watch the game.
Okay, so
right?
like the Super Bowl, emotional, or you just don't like people like
No, I like to
it?
see everything develop and how they do it. And those guys played unreal.
Yeah.
And what a amazing thing for Vegas.
100%. Like, I thought coming in, I was confident we were going to win, but we beat the shit out of them.
I think we set a record for the most goals in a Stanley Cup game.
In a Stanley Cup game, it was crazy. Like, it got so bad that at one point, I legitimately, felt bad for the Panthers. I was like, at first I was cheering. It was like 1-2-1, 3-1, 4-1. Once it got to 7-1, I'm like, oh my God, someone give them a goal. This feels bad, man.
Hey, I didn't feel bad because look at what they did in that previous game.
Yeah,
they're a bunch of sore losers. They deserve it.
They're a little dirty. That Kachuk, man, that dude was a little piece of. But that's why they got there.
He got hit hard.
Yeah, they were a scrappy team.
Yeah.
They got there being that way, But they ran into a team that just was bigger, stronger, faster, and was willing to fight the shit out of them.
Yeah, I was talking to a neighbor, and I said, God, can you believe how many goals they scored? She goes, I've seen one team score 12 goals, but it was like the USA versus
Yeah,
Kenya,
it felt like
that,
it felt like. Yeah, it felt like.
And it just and she goes, but these guys are professionals.
Yeah,
these are like the best teams to be beat 9-3. Unbelievable.
100%. It felt like when our women's soccer team plays like some small Eastern country.
Yes.
And it's our girls are like 6'3" and they're like 5'5", and it just feels unfair.
Yeah, and all of them when you watch them. Do the high fives after the game.
Yeah.
The Vegas Knights are big.
We're huge.
They're huge.
We don't notice it because it's our team, but we are a massive, massive team. So that was good for the city, and it actually brings in what we want to talk about today, which is equity. The Vegas Knights win, right? That just encourages more people to want to come to Vegas, and it encourages the people who live in Vegas to really want to call this their home, right? We're the Knights, and we've seen a surge since the Knights have been here, we've seen a surge of not just people moving to Vegas, but people who are in Vegas feeling like this is home for me, right?
Definitely.
It's really, let's say you moved to Vegas 5-6 years ago from California, right? You lived in Vegas, but you didn't really, you didn't have anything that attached you to the city. And the Knights were like, this is it. We all wear the jerseys, we have the license plate. This is our team, right?
Oh, totally. Well, I got here right the first season of the Knights, and they just really embraced the city, and certainly it was Vegas strong and all that happened. But man, it's like a college town. The Vegas Knights brought a college town atmosphere to Las Vegas.
Yeah. I think the Knights showed the Raiders the flaws in what they're doing. Whereas the Raiders showed up like, we're the Raiders, we're the brand, Vegas is going to love us, right? The Knights showed up and they were like, you know what? No, we're going to make Vegas love us. We're going to do things for the city. We're going to support the city. We're going to make ourselves a part of the culture and the community here,
Yeah.
And I think they showed any team that comes to Vegas from now on the way you're supposed to treat Vegas and how our fans react to things.
Yeah, and I really hope that all the teams that are coming here have that camaraderie with each other and rooting for each other. The Knights rooting for the Raiders, rooting for the A's, because the A's, I believe, are going to come. So I hope that happens.
One of the biggest secrets in sports, and we'll get to the equity thing, but this is a good conversation. One of the biggest things in sports is that most sports in the same city hate each other. Because if one of them wins a title, it completely takes the attention away from your team, Right now, if the Raiders make the playoffs, Vegas will be like, okay, cool, go ahead and win the championship like the Knights did, the Knights,
There's an elevated,
the Knights have set the standard. But no, the conversation's on equity, and Vegas equity has grown dramatically. I mean,
definitely.
One of my favorite things to do is dive through the history of a house. We're putting in an offer. I go through the history, and I'm like, what did this house sell for? And I saw a house in the northwest of Vegas the other day. Sold in 2012, Northwest Vegas, $220,000. My clients put an offer in for $800,000.
Oh my God.
For 800. The house is 3,200 square feet.
Wow.
It's a monster house. But in 2012, they were giving those houses away.
There were so many on the market.
Oh my God, they couldn't give them away. And you look at the tax history and you're like, this is incredible.
But I have to give you a shout out. I mean, what you do for your clients is unbelievable. The client that you have right now, the appraisal is $60,000 higher than what they bought it for.
Oh yeah.
Right now.
Oh
right
yeah.
now.
Pat myself on the back on that
God.
one.
I mean, you are a master and the thing that I was like, what? $20,000 in closing costs.
Yes.
As well as
on top of that.
And I'm like, oh my God, Brandon.
Do you know what's funny?
Do this? But that's the thing. There's still equity to be found even before the purchase happens.
Even now. His first text to me was, damn, I was hoping it'd be closer to 750.
Well, and you know, I used to be an appraiser, right? So there's no incentive for the appraiser to come in above value.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it did come in at that value, they were probably conservative on that value.
On that value, yeah. They probably could have appraised it higher.
Yeah.
So ultimately, from your perspective, right, what is equity? What is equity for you on the lending side?
On the lending side, it's loan to value, right? We look at it from the standpoint of how much is the house worth, less how much is the mortgage amount, and that difference is the equity.
100%. So for you, it's loan to value.
Loan to value.
For me, it's how good of a job did I do? Yeah. Honestly. You know how one of the jokes is there's no way to measure being a parent. It's just like, well, now I can't make that joke anymore in 2023. There was a very good saying, but in 2023, that's a joke that's going to get us canceled. But as a realtor, how do I measure success, right? Yeah. Is it getting you the house? Well, I mean, ultimately, yeah, I got you the house. That's great. But the way I measure success is I track your house's equity. Mm-hmm. Did I buy you a house that's going to make you and your family more money in the future? Yeah, I did a good job. You know, that's what equity means to me. If I got you a $500,000 house 2 years ago, and now it's worth $600,000, I'm your realtor and I'm your banker. I got you the house and I made you $100,000 on top of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a measurement of success for us.
Well, and that's what I love about you and how you do your research to find the houses for the clients, for the buyers, and it just really shows what you do and how much you care. But the other thing about equity, though, is I really believe you can't go into real estate thinking that it's a one-year deal.
Yeah.
It's a 7, 8, 9, 10, could be 12 years that you're going to be in there. So you want to find that house, which is really what you do, that's going to be in the right location, that's going to provide the long-term results in equity.
The number one thing I tell people on my live class, buying a home is the secondary reason to buy a home. Owning a home is the secondary reason. You're buying a home to make equity. You're buying a home to make money. That's the most important thing. What do we always tell people? You'd rather have the least expensive home in a nice neighborhood than to have the most expensive home in a cheap neighborhood.
Yeah.
That home isn't going to make any equity.
No, it's not going to make any equity. But I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay,
because
put it on me.
My opinion is you should buy a home that you want to live in and certainly look at it from an investment standpoint. Yeah. But you're going to be there 7, 10, 12 years. You better like where you're living. And so while it is definitely going to build and grow your asset and your equity, find a home that you like. Find a neighborhood that you like.
I can see that too.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
That too. No, I'm with you. Ultimately, it's the reason I put it from such a pragmatic point of view, and I kind of keep feelings out of it, is so many people aren't told, and this is where I kind of want to take the direction of the conversation. Most people know what interest rates are. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, if I asked anybody watching this, what's the interest rate? They could rattle it off. 6.7, 7.1, right? But what I tell them is interest rate without equity is pointless. Knowing one without the other is useless. So, for example, if the interest rate was 10%, right? You were paying 10% of your loan back additionally, but you were making 15% equity on your house, would you still buy it? Of course you would.
Yeah.
Of course you would. If equity was at 15% yearly, I would pay any interest rate. It wouldn't matter, right? And a lot of people are told what the interest rate is, how much houses are going to cost. What they are not told, the information that's kept from them, is equity, how much the house stands to make.
To gain.
Right? Sure. If I told you, hey, Bill, you're going to buy this diamond ring, and you were like, okay, It's going to cost you $40,000. Okay, what does it do? I don't know. Would you ever buy the diamond ring, right? You like
jewelry scares me, but I know my wife loves it.
Loves it. She loves it because she knows what the ring symbolizes to her, what the diamond value is to her.
Correct.
That diamond says, I am better than you. That is what you are buying. I am buying a piece of jewelry that says, I am better than you.
That is so funny. You're right. And it's hard to know. For me, I don't know what the value of a diamond is.
Sure.
The cut, the this.
You know the value of making your wife happy.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but anyways, from a house standpoint too, with interest rates, when rates go down, guess what happens to the equity? The equity goes up
100%.
Because there's more demand. And when you buy a house now, you're going to get a raise when rates go down because you're going to refinance and get a lower payment, and your equity is going to go up. It's awesome right now to really buy a home.
The average equity on houses in America, and this is one of my favorite stats ever. You could include ghetto areas, bad areas, parts of the country that people don't want to live. Like, it's no shocker for me to say people would rather live on the beach than live in Iowa, right? I'm not offending anybody there. We have enough data that shows people would rather live on the coast, near water, than live, right? Even if you factor in all those places in the middle of the country that people tend not to want to live, the average equity on American homes is something like 5 to 8% per year.
Yeah.
If you remove bad areas or like low income areas and you just focus it on big cities like San Francisco, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, whatever, the equity is pushing 8 to 10%. That's absolutely insane.
It's incredible. And, statistics show that homeowners have 40 times the net worth of a renter.
That's crazy.
And and I've done a lot of research on this. The interesting thing is when you become a homeowner, you actually become more financially savvy. You start looking at retirement. You start looking at your savings. You start looking at other investments. You start looking at the equity that you have in your home, potentially utilizing it to buy other properties and get into leveraging the money that you have. And equity really allows you to have some power to make more money.
Yeah. Home ownership, I tell people, is like the start of your adult financial journey, right? It's the first time for many people in their life where they have to save up for something in particular. Not a vacation, not a car, not something fun like a birthday present, but like genuinely saving to get something, to earn something, right? And it teaches you the value of saving, not spending, and earning something.
Yeah.
Because once you get that house, like you said, it's like, okay, I have the house now. Oh, my mortgage payments are a little bit higher. I better cut back on my spending. I got to make these mortgage payments, right? It attaches you to a responsibility.
Yes.
And then I tell people the first year of owning a home is the scariest one. That first year, because it's like, oh my God, my rent was $1,700, my mortgage is $2,500. Oh, panic! I can't drink and party with my friends like I used to, and I got to learn how to cook food. But these are all valuable skills. What starts off as a panic attack is like ultimately it's teaching you how to be a more financially stable human being.
Yeah.
And once you fall into that role, then you're like, oh, okay, well then, how do I turn this equity into another house?
Yeah.
How do I improve the value of my house, right? You start to think in those long-term steps.
Right. Well, I believe life is just basically habits, creating habits.
Yeah.
And you're just changing your habits to save for a house, or when you get into a house, you're changing your new habits to basically, grow your equity in that house and save more money.
Next week's episode, habits. Good habits, though, good home buying habits. That's an entire thing to itself, right?
Yeah.
The habits that you need. People think that you wake up one day and you're just like, I'm going to be a home buyer now.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it takes a series of habits to get to that point.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. How do you build equity?
How do you build equity? Well, for me, it's knowing where to buy a house that other people are going to find valuable. Because ultimately, you gain equity by someone coming along and saying, oh, this house is worth more than what they're currently selling it for. I don't care that they bought it for $350 last year. To me, it's worth $400,000 right now.
Right.
That's where you gain equity. But you have to be in areas where people want to live.
Right.
And we might get a little bit of trouble for this, but what I tell people, the best way to find equity if you're new to a city, Drive around until you see somewhere where like women feel comfortable jogging at night. That's the safest, right?
Safest place,
because they're telling you, no, this neighborhood's safe. We're good. We're just going to go jog at 10 o'clock at night. We don't care.
Yeah.
You want to buy a house there. That means that it's real safe in that neighborhood.
Right.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah. And appraisal 101, the first thing they teach you, location. And it can be location within a city. It can be a location within a neighborhood, within an area. And it's just trying to find a good location that will allow your house the best opportunity to grow in value.
This may have to be its own episode, but one of the things that I've always found frustrating about location is it's missing specificity. Okay, I got to get the best location. Okay, what's the best location? What's the best location?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm hearing you. I want to buy in the best location. Got it. Where's the best one? No one wants to go into detail on that, right? So they give you the phrase, they give you the slogan, but then you're like, what's a good location? And they start to clam up.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it, you have to break it down, right? You have to look at what your price range is and where you go.
Yeah.
And what does that price range buy you? And what location can I potentially purchase in there?
Sure.
Then you break it down even further, going into a neighborhood. Are you going to be on a main street or are you going to be a little cul-de-sac?
Yeah.
So every one is a little bit different in terms of location.
Sure.
But it can really make a difference in regards to building equity in your home by selecting a good property that has the most benefit for growth in the future.
That most benefit for growth in the future. One of the things I try to coach people on is, what do you like about this house? Okay, the next person who comes to buy it from you 2 years from now, they're going to like the same things about it.
Exactly.
Right?
That's a good point. Like, will someone else like this house?
Will someone else like, if you like this, if you like the green grass, if you like the pool, guess what? Most people who come to buy this house are going to like the same things, right? And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a house that has the most qualities that other people are going to like. You know, there's maybe if you do your cabinets black, there's a group of people who will hate that.
Yeah.
If you put a pool in your house, there's a very small group of people who are going to hate that.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a fresh cut lawn of green grass, there might be a 5% of the population who's like, oh my God, I hate grass. Most people are going to see the fresh cut grass and they're going to be like, I love this
is
house.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I have another question for you. Why does it take, when you get into a multiple offer situation, and we definitely are going to probably see that, we're seeing it a little bit now.
Yeah.
And you have to go in above the list price. How do you talk to a buyer about that? Because that happens, right?
It does. What I tell a buyer, and I'm very honest with them, I say, how much do you love this house? Do you like it or do you love it? I love it. Okay. The second you close on this house, whatever you paid for, that's what it's worth. That's what it's worth.
Yep.
The house next door to you, that's a model match. Guess what? You just raised their price on their house.
And they're happy about it.
And they're happy about it.
Right.
Your neighbors are going to love you. Now, the trade-off is it's going to take you longer to accrue equity. That's it. Well, that's the low interest rate, high interest rate discussion. Funny enough, I did this yesterday, so it's fresh on my mind. I tell people, when you buy when interest rates are low and you're paying over the list price, right? What you're doing is you're delaying your equity to get a lower interest rate.
Right.
That's really the trade-off.
Yeah.
If you buy a house with a low interest rate, you're either going to pay at peak value or you're going to set the market for peak value. So you're going to get your low interest rate, but it's going to take you longer to gain equity.
Right.
When you buy with higher interest rates, yeah, you're going to have a higher mortgage payment. But you're most likely buying in way under that house's peak value.
Right.
Which means you're going to get to the equity quicker. It's a win on either side. They try to play it like, oh, if you only buy with low interest rates, you're going to save money. It's like, well, no, it's going to take me forever to get to the equity. There's no losing on either side. It's just choosing where you want the money.
Yeah, and I believe that it's almost better to buy in a market with higher interest rates.
Me too.
Because there's less buyers. And let's say you might be able to save, 20, 25, 30,000 on a price now at a higher interest rate. So you're going to pay a premium right now for the mortgage, but you're saving that chunk of money. Because when rates drop, that 20,000, 30,000, 25,000, that's going to be going up really quickly just because of the interest rates going down.
100%. The escrow we just opened today, you and I, house was $850. $850.
Yeah, that's right.
We got it $30,000 less than that. That house could have appraised for $860,000, honestly.
Yes.
So now our client is going to come in with a slightly higher interest rate, but they're probably $40,000 below the equity of that house, which means they're probably going to be walking into some equity. It's not going to take a long time for that house to get to that, I'm $80,000 up on my equity point.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example. Saving $30,000 at least, paying a little bit premium on the interest rate, and eventually, when rates drop, it'll be refinanced, and he'll have the payment that he wants.
Last thing, and it's something important for anybody watching to know. When you're asking for money off the list price, you're not doing it to save money on the mortgage. Taking $30,000 off the list price probably saves you, what, $50, $60 on your mortgage? You're not saving much. The reason we ask for money off the list price is because it helps you get to the equity faster.
Yes.
If the house is equity,
that's a huge point.
If the house appraises at $850 and we got it for $820, congratulations, you're walking into $30,000 of equity. You don't need anything to build. It's already been accrued.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You're so good at that. And you're so good at finding those properties. I tell you, master negotiator right there.
This is why I bring you on. People think it's to educate them. No. It's really not. It's to fluff my ego.
I've worked with, hundreds, thousands of realtors, honestly, because I've been doing this a long time. I see it. I see what you do, and it is incredible. So,
well, let me flip it. Let me flip it back to you. I've worked with a lot of shitty lenders. I'm not going to name the specific credit union that rhymes with Favy Netteral, but every time they mess up, you're always there.
That was a good one. He's always trying to make me laugh. That was a really good one.
Every time they fuck up and try to lose us a bunch of money, Austin, can I say fuck up?
You've already ousted and doxed a company at this rate. Who cares?
Okay. I didn't know no specific names, but every time a company messes up, you're always there to rescue us and pull us back on. So let me return the favor. Honestly, I genuinely appreciate how quickly you guys work and get things done. And the goal is to make people money. And that's what we do as a team. And we haven't been telling people this before, but I want to tell them now, you're available in every state.
Every state.
You're available in every state. So even if you need I don't care if you're in, Washington? Do you work Washington?
We're doing Washington. I just got one in New Jersey. Oh. So, I did one in New Jersey, New York. We did Florida, Texas.
So no matter what state you're in, you're able to help.
Yes.
So it's perfect. If you need a realtor, we can get you a realtor, right? We can recommend.
Oh, you can recommend. 100%. You'll find a great realtor where they live.
100%.
Yep.
If you're watching this and your goal is to make equity, to make money on your house, no matter what state you're in, most of you just need guidance. You need advice. You don't know how to find a realtor. I can find you one. I know plenty across this country who are excellent and are top producers. If you need a lender, he can help you in every single state.
Yeah.
Every single state. So don't worry. Austin is going to put our contact information on the board right here. Bill, thank you for joining me once again. It's always a pleasure.
Always fun.
See you next Thursday?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday at 10 a.m.?
Absolutely.
Awesome. You guys, I'm Brandon from Vegas, and as always, won't you be my neighbor?